Failed Teacher 1. I'm interested in the teaching methods used and where these originated from. I can imagine the ashtray exercise, although at first glance it might appear a bit odd, it could actually be quite effective at getting someone to improve their ability to focus. There's allegedly an exercise where a couple stare at each other without blinking if possible for hours. Someone in a Mark Bunker interview claims this is not entirely dissimilar to a hypnosis exercise. One of the more sensationalist YouTube sites suggested similarities between some of LRH's original exercises and CIA counter-interrogation training methods in the 1940s. I cannot verify any of this, it may all be untrue. However, the pre-Church of Scientology Dianetics movement in the early 1950s was enormously popular for a very brief period. I wonder if anyone has looked at where LRH got his teaching exercises from. He must have been doing something right. He did draw people in like a magnet. It ain't easy to create a new religion which outlives its creator by 30 years and which causes people to devote their lives entirely to its propagation. I wonder what worked, why it worked, and who originally created these exercises. Your question demands an answer that is far outside the scope of my little half-hour-long show. I have talked in other earlier episodes about the study tack not being something that Hubbard himself invented or created, but he stole it and took credit for it. A couple Scientologists who I think were English teachers in the mid-1960s actually came and gave it to him and said, hey, we have these ideas, and he immediately appropriated it and was lecturing on it as though it was all his discovery. And then within a year or two, they were declared suppressive people and were kicked out of the church. As far as earlier indoctrination techniques and training methods, I have heard or read that Hubbard's kid actually came up with some of those upper indoctrination TRs, the ashtray drill you're talking about, where you focus intention on, putting your intention into an object, and then a later drill has you putting your intention, your beams of intention into a person in order to get them to do what you want them to do. And so that's what I heard, is that was those drills were dreamed up by his son, or his son and him, or his son and somebody else in collaboration. I don't know. I do know that Hubbard, was a blatant plagiarist, and almost from day one of Dianetics, he was plagiarizing, things we've talked about at length on my channel: Madame Blavatsky, Theosophy, Freud, Aleister Crowley. I mean, there's this whole gamut, this whole array of things that Hubbard picked and chose things from, right? CIA counter-interrogation techniques, I don't know. To me, that sounds like a bit of a stretch. I don't know how Hubbard would have any personal knowledge of 1940s CIA counter-interrogation techniques, and whatever he might have learned in the Navy, I suppose. But other than that, I don't really know how he would have any lines in on that, although Hubbard would be the first to claim that he did. I mean, he'd be the first to tell you, oh, I know all about what those CIA boys are doing. He could spin you all kinds of tales about that. But the teaching techniques of Scientology come from a lot of different places, obviously, is what I'm saying. And it wasn't all Hubbard's development that he all just came up with by himself. I don't know about the TRs, the TR0, which is the staring at each other for hours at a time thing. I don't know if Hubbard personally came up with that or not. That was 1955, I believe, 56, that those, I think it was 1956 that those were developed as drills to learn to improve communication skills based on a 1955 book Hubbard put together called Dianetics 55, where he laid out the communications formula, right? And then there were these drills developed to practice communicating. And I will tell you, I have said before that, there is some effectiveness to some of those drills. They are helpful at, being able to, talk to people, listen to people, understand, acknowledge them when they talk to you, look them in the eye, that sort of thing. Nothing wrong with any of that. I think it goes a little extreme when you're sitting there for 2 hours staring at somebody. Of course that's hypnotic. Of course that can put you in a trance. I mean, duh. So that's a thing, And I'm only being so blasé about it because I know I've talked about this before. So Anyway, I just wanted to kind of address the bigger picture of Hubbard's development of this stuff was almost all plagiarized from other sources, which you can track down. You can find this stuff. It's not hard. And some truly original ideas that he did have of his own that he threw in there. And maybe those original TR drills, for example, were his own. I can't say for sure. I don't have personal knowledge of it. So I know that might not be a complete answer for you. Yes, Hubbard was the one who put all of these things together into this body of knowledge called Scientology. Maybe that's his talent, was drawing from all these different places and putting it all together into this sort of framework that kind of made some sense and did produce some results for us people who did it, right? Undeniable, no question about it. I'm not saying that it didn't. My argument about Scientology's effectiveness has always been my argument is not none of it works. My argument is that it's not original to Hubbard, and there's so much destructive stuff connected with Scientology that it far outweighs the effectiveness of what does work. And you can get that effective stuff in other places that are not connected to a dictatorial, authoritarian organization that is trying to ruin your life. So that's what I have to say about all that. And I hope that answers your question to some degree. But if it doesn't, or either you have more about that you want to know that I haven't addressed before, go ahead and let me know, and I'll answer more about that.